this nation disappears. And a nation on the slippery slope to moral decay, educational decay, military decay, economic decay, a nation that kills babies and lets sodomites play in the street. God will have to judge. I believe America will fall from its pedestal of power down to a third, fourth, eighth, ninth, 12th rate nation. There'll be a nothing, a non-entity by the end of the tribulation period.
God says, "Come out of her, my people." Foreigners or foreign nations will go back to their places and forsake America. And I've spoken many times of this exodus, that I've seen people from Honduras, I've seen people from Chile, I've seen people from Brazil, I've seen people from Mexico and many other places, many African nations flooding out of the United States to go back to America. The next part is economic crash and ruination. God says this is a nation that is federally bankrupt. Empty coffers, playing with the books, getting creative with the numbers, cooking the books.
A nation that is not governed by morality and moral principles is a nation that's headed for an abyss. And I think black people have been struggling to get into this system, maybe getting into a system that in the final analysis is a Sodom and Gomorrah, will not work. Because its selfish goals, its need for profit, its need for supremacy, its need to be the best has clouded its moral vision. And with no moral vision, no nation can be healthy enough to lead its people anywhere except to destruction.
There have been a lot of prophecy that America will fall and black Americans should move out, or African Americans should move out. We have prophecy from biblical prophets. Some Christians and Hebrew Israelites groups believe that biblical prophets like those in Revelation and Jeremiah foretell America destructions. We have Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam has taught that America, referred to as Babylon, will fall due to its corruption, oppression, and moral decay. We have someone like Nostradamus. Some interpretations of his quotations suggest a catastrophe downfall of America. We have Paul Kennedy, a historian who wrote The Rise and Fall of the Great Powers, warning about America's overreach. We have Dmitry Orlov, a Russian American writer who predicted America's collapse similar to Soviet Union. And it is happening. It is happening. We cannot deny the fact that America is not the same America we knew. The issue of Donald Trump saying, "Make America great again," is because America is falling. And instead of making it great again, I think the destruction is happening rapidly. Okay? Now, I'm going to play you a video of warnings. And there's a warning, a prophecy around 40 years ago where Martin Luther King predicted the burning of America. And again, we'll come back here and talk about this because there are some issues in America that will rapidly or fasten the fall of America. And one of these issues is rooted in the number of social, economic, and political factors. So let's watch this video first, and then we go deeper and deeper. I love you. Welcome to my YouTube space.
Everybody wants to know what happened to the greatest country in world history, the one that is the most powerful, the most the wealthiest country in the world, America. If America is all of that, and we're going toward end-time events, where do you find America, the United States of America, in Bible prophecy?
John, that is the most asked question in Bible prophecy Q&A. The United States is not mentioned anywhere in prophecy. There's a reference in the book of Zechariah, chapter 14, verse 2, where it says, all nations of the world will gather at Jerusalem at the end of the tribulation period before Christ comes back. If indeed America, after the rapture, is still on this earth and in operation, they will gather with all the nation. Now, listen, here's some sanctified speculation. I believe at the rapture of the church, the backbone of this nation disappears. And a nation on the slippery slope to moral decay, educational decay, military decay, economic decay, a nation that kills babies and lets sodomites play in the street. God will have to judge. I believe America will fall from its pedestal of power down to a third, fourth, eighth, ninth, 12th rate nation. There'll be a nothing, a non-entity by the end of the tribulation period.
Believe you me, after Trump, America is finished. It's not about Trump. I don't know the man. And I'm getting no benefits out of this anyway. Believe you me, I've never seen him. I've seen him on YouTube, whatever, here and there, bits and pieces. But I don't know him. But I'm telling you, Trump is the last one. Because after the trumpet will be blown. You know why America is going to fall? Which is the United Nations, yeah? 2 reasons. Because America is challenging God at the moment. It's challenging the Lord. It's going to fall for 2 reasons. One, internally. The other reason is externally. The internal reason, there will be traitors within America. There are traitors within the White House. There are traitors within the Pentagon. There are traitors within the governmental system. Traitors who have sold America. And the reason why these traitors came up on surface, because America walked away from the Lord. The Lord allowed them to be punished, to teach them that I'm in charge, not you. You think you can rule the world? It is the Lord who rules the world, not you. Infiltrators from within your circle to come and do wondrous things, destroy America. A lot of traitors are within America. And the external reason, it is the wrath of God. Jesus Christ will come very heavily on America, the wrath of God. But internally there is a lot of traitors. They literally sold it. You'll remember this. The day America goes, remember what's going to happen to the Christians. Very harsh, very harsh. But the problem with America, it will take the rest of the world with it when it goes down. We read in verse 2, look at this. And he cried, the Lord, mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is fallen. And when the Lord says it twice, he means that it is fallen. There is no 2 ways about it. There is no escape. It will fall because America doesn't want to repent. There are good Christians in America still, but it's diminishing. They took the Holy Bibles out of schools. LGBTQ, RSTU, VYZ, they're introduced everywhere. This is the UN. The UN introduced all these laws. You know, it's human rights, remember? Human rights meaning the human can do whatever, however, whenever, with whoever. So if this human comes and one day he says, I want to marry a dog, United Nations says there is a law that protects your rights. You can marry a dog. And when they introduce this law and force the churches to marry same-sex, then there is a law that protects those people and force the church to marry them. If you don't, the church will be closed, fined, and you'll be persecuted and prosecuted and thrown in prison. Because the law of the land says you have to marry these people. The church needs to abide by the laws. A day will come, they will force the churches like they did in some states in America. And when they bring it into the kindergartens and primary schools, and then come and say to this little innocent angel, do you feel you're a boy? Who in their sick mind think this child knows what they're doing? So you are going to dictate and say to the parents, you have no right to teach your child. It is the UN that will teach your child, because we pay money to Australia and other countries. Do you know when any country welcomes refugees, do you know where they get the money for those refugees? The UN pays for it, not Centrelink. But you think Australia is a nice country, they just bring people in? No, they get rewarded for it. You bring this many people into your country, we'll give you this many millions. So when they give those millions, do you think they're going to give it for free? No, in return, the country is ours. So we do whatever we want to do next time. So when we bring in laws, you implement them, Mr. Prime Minister, because you're just a puppet doing what we dictate to you. That's what it is now. Governments are puppets. Nothing more, nothing less. It's surfaced up now. Everything is in the open, in the clear. So now they're going to teach your child. Parents, whether you like it or not, tough luck. I would choose to die with dignity, with disgrace.
The next part is America is judged by the Lord, and when her judgments fall, they will fall hard. The next part is Kamala Harris will be the leader of America by an exchange of power that is not anticipated or voted for. There will be a sudden change of power in America, no matter who likes it or not. Kamala Harris will be the head of this nation, and it will not happen by the popular will and expression of the people. This is voting. And I shared before that I saw a vision of this woman taking her oath when I was on a live prayer call with others. We're praying about something else entirely, and I began to tell them, you will not believe what I am seeing. I am seeing Kamala Harris standing at the podium saying that today is a great day. Today is a historic day. Today is a day that America has never seen, because for the first time ever, a woman is in the White House. She is not the Secretary of State. She is not an assistant or an aide. She is in the top seat. She is the President of the United States. Next part is America will have a civil war of 3 years, a brutal war brought on by intolerance of all kinds, but especially a war of ideology. This war will be so violent that it will cause huge loss of life, destruction of property, and mass movement of people outside of America to all parts of the world. This war will also be preceded by people fleeing. So before war even breaks out in this country, God says that people are going to leak and leach out of America in all directions. And we've been seeing that since I started talking about this diaspora, even probably before. But when God brought a highlight on it, very shortly after that, stories began to come out in the media of Americans getting second passport, wealthy Americans who can afford to go and invest in other countries and be given immediate citizenship and things like that. And God says, come out of her, my people. Foreigners or foreign nations will go back to their places and forsake America. And I've spoken many times of this exodus, that I've seen people from Honduras, I've seen people from Chile, I've seen people from Brazil, I've seen people from Mexico and many other places, many African nations flooding out of the United States to go back to America. The next part is economic crash and ruination. God says this is a nation that is federally bankrupt, empty coffers, playing with the books, getting creative with the numbers, cooking the books. You will not kick the can down the road anymore. You will pay the price for your irresponsibility, and many nations will fall down before this financial crisis is done. The economy will fall to Great Depression levels, and Europe, you will go down with America. The next part is Russia is coming to prominence, arise and devour much flesh. And I think that this is in the book of Daniel, where the bear was spoken to and it was told, arise and devour much flesh. So God says Russia is coming to prominence. And we can certainly see that. Niger had a coup I think maybe 2 weeks ago, and they're burning the French flag in their ire and waving the Russian flag around. And many countries in Africa are beginning to pivot to Russia. And these prophecies were on the Master's Voice blog since 2019. Those are my first videos. The fact that Russia will rise and that the world will begin to look to Russia for leadership. And the world will begin to say, America, shush, 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 shush. Vlad is talking and we want to hear what he is saying.
Agitated after what we thought was a very successful gathering and discussion. I've come upon a thought, but I don't know how to deal with it this moment. I said, well, what is it? He said, we fought long for integration. It looks like we're going to get it. I think we get the laws. He says, but I'm afraid that I've come upon something I don't know quite what to do with. I'm afraid that we're integrating into a burning house. When we asked for further clarification, Andy Young was with me at that time, my wife, others. He said, America's lost whatever little moral vision it had. Its moral sense has run away from the nation. And a nation that is not governed by morality and moral principles is a nation that's headed for an abyss. And I think black people have been struggling to get into this system, maybe getting into a system that in the final analysis is a Sodom and Gomorrah, will not work. Because its selfish goals, its need for profit, its need for supremacy, its need to be the best has clouded its moral vision. And with no moral vision, no nation can be healthy enough to lead its people anywhere except to destruction.
Why do you believe America, or why is America not mentioned in Bible prophecy as a key player in the end, or are they a player at all for that matter?
No, they're not. We're not. Okay, several possibilities why. Because, and here's what we assume, in Ezekiel 38 and 39, when this coalition of 8 nations comes down to invade Israel, there's no nation that they're afraid of. Nobody can or will intervene on the side of Israel. So we assume there's no superpower in the world, meaning the, unfortunately, the demise, as John Wade would say, of the United States of America, unfortunately.
Right.
So we're not there, meaning we're not either, we don't exist, or we don't have the political will, the military, the economic. In other words, we're not a superpower anymore, and that's the sad reality of it. So we've been predicting along that line, we're going to continue to see the United States go down the drain, unfortunately, simply because the Bible assumes that we're not a player in the last days.
Why is it that you think why are we a diminished power when we're so powerful today?
Yeah, well,
we can only guess.
Yeah, we can only guess. A lot of reasons why. I think part of it is having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof, because we're seen in the world, Greg, as a Christian nation. We are. The rest of the world sees us as Christian, but then they look and come to America and they see things anything but Christian, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's part of the sadness of all this, that we were, we're as Ronald Reagan used to say, the light shining on the hill. And that was the idea behind America, the huddled masses gathering together. 20 out of the first 21 institutions that were founded in this country's schools, Harvard, Yale, William and Mary, were founded to train pastors to go out and evangelize the rest of the country. Yeah. We've fallen tremendously away from that calling.
Yeah, one of the ratifiers of the Constitution pointed out that this country was not founded by religionists, but by Christians.
Correct.
And, there are historians who will give us a revisionist version, and they'll try to edit that up. But this is the truth. But we're not claiming that all of America is Christian, but we we clearly have a Judeo-Christian foundation that we have strayed from. And it seems to me we know judgment is inevitable. Yep. Every nation has a shelf life, doesn't it?
We do.
No matter who. I mean, you go to the great nations of the world, from Babylon to Greece to Rome, etc. They had a beginning, middle, and an end. And that's going to be true of our country as well as any other country. But what we're praying for is, before that time comes, that we could have perhaps another great spiritual awakening.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is the answer we want. America's not in the Bible in the last days because no one's here. We've got a great revival. The rapture of the church happens and the country's empty. Wouldn't that be the great answer to it? Yeah.
Amen.
A wall that people trust in, but a wall that will fall. And when that wall falls, all the prophets who spoke of that wall as being a hope and salvation for the people will fall with it. So I'm reading Ezekiel 13, and the Lord is conversationally speaking these things to me. And then right in the middle, he suddenly says, Donald Trump will be killed. Now, brothers and sisters, people losing their lives is terrible. It's terrible. Among Americans, and just the whole nation basically being destroyed and set on fire. I saw that. And then the Lord just shared these few thoughts that I will read here. And it said that Trump will be killed. They will not tolerate it for him to come back into public office. The Lord has said this to me before this. I've just never felt the push or the urge to share it because, like I said, involving myself in the transient matter of politics is not really my interest. But the Lord has said this before, that they will not tolerate him to return to public office, that he will not be given a chance to rise again and to have a movement behind him again, because he said that his presence is ruining plans that are bigger than him. His presence is disrupting things that were set in motion long ago. And then the Lord reminded me of several prophetic words that I have actually put on this blog to that effect, that his life will be cut short. And one of them is called POTUS, and another one is called America in Turmoil, Deep State. That was a new one for me, hearing about something called Deep State. So the Lord also explained to me that the pedestal he was standing on is the office of the president, that it was once a noble institution, but now it has become trampled and disgusting because of corruption, and pieces of it, huge pieces of what it means to be president, have been fallen off or maybe even broken off deliberately. And now even the steps that you use to get to the presidency are dirty, fallen, and shameful. So the Lord then said that 2021 will be a difficult, and in fact the word he used is traumatizing year for America. He said that from the first month, America will see damage and disruptions, and the expectations of the American people will cause outcry, resistance, and great anger in the country, and that separation will occur in the nation, and she will be weakened from within as a result. There is another prophecy called Ascendancy where I spoke about one of the key signs that God said would come to America is that conflict will occur. She will begin to tear herself apart. So the nation will start to lose cohesion. Her people will no longer get along.
Welcome, brethren. Thank you, wherever you're watching from. Welcome to my space. Let's dive in deeper into the reason behind the sentiments that America is falling and why we suggest that African Americans or other should leave the country. I'm so happy that a number of African Americans are now leaving America. Some 10 years ago, some 5 years ago, some are discovering it now, some are leaving now. I understand that leaving America is the hardest decision to make because, number one, if you're a Black American or African American and you don't know your roots, it's hard. You have been denied maybe your identity, you don't know where to trace back, so it is hard. But I believe that God, the creator of the universe, will gather all African Americans together and they're gonna come back home. Sorry to some of my African American friends who say they don't wanna come back to Africa because of a number of issues. But again, I will say home is home and things will happen. When people say America is falling, they often refer to a variety of issues that decay America. And these issues believe it's causing the decline of America. The issues, as I said earlier, is social, economic, and political factors. When you talk about political polarization, the US has been increasing division between political parties and ideologies. The division has deepened over time with heated debates on issues such as race, gender, healthcare, and immigration. As a result, some people feel that the country is losing its unity and stability, which leads to the idea of its falling. Right now, we have immigration, like Donald Trump is sending back people to their country. And again, these people are the ones who build this country. And while doing that, it is causing disunity between the people and the people of America. Making America great again, I feel like it's making America racist again. The country of white people only. That's what comes in my mind. Sorry to say, not all of us think like that, but I think make America great again is like making America racist again. Because why will you make America great again and you are sending Black people away, Latinos away, Asian away? Why? And the dream of America was a country where everyone will go there, get their milk and honey, a country where it's full of opportunities, a country where everyone is comfortable and getting rich in America. But whatever is happening right now, it just shows that America is rapidly falling. We have economic inequalities. The US has one of the highest rates of income inequalities among developed nations. Wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few. People like the people of color face economic hardship. By these disparities contribute to the belief that America is falling because economic inequalities, dreams, the American dream we had, everyone is dreaming of going to America and making it big. But the people of color are facing hardship in getting the wealth. People of color are getting hardship in getting quality education, quality health care, the housing, the loans. It's hard to them. So this shows us how America is not quality, is not for everyone. It's just for few white rich people. And these other people are suffering. So African Americans need to move out. Your children need to be familiar with other countries. Let them be familiar with Jamaica, Caribbean. Let us be familiar with Africa because This empire has been predicted a number of times. Babylon will fall, and this is the Babylon that Muhammad said about it. And it's falling because of their own issues that are being created. Social injustice, issues like policies or police brutality, issues like mass incarceration, where when a black person has done a mistake, is whole black fraternity. All Latinos are smugglers. You know, these issues is the one that's making America to fall. Racial discrimination. A country that's a country of God, a country that's a country of dreams, a country that's a country that loves everyone, does not have racial discrimination. But in America, we have that. Unequal access to education, healthcare, and, you know, major problems that many people feel in America is this education inequality, healthcare inequality. These are some of the major problems. And these issues are not being addressed. Only people who are addressing these issues are the people who are facing these challenges, like black people. Black people are the one who are going to the street to raise alarm, and white people or other group, they don't care about it. Right now, when you want to know that America is really falling, white people, some white, the middle class and low class, have started feeling the pinch. They have started feeling the pinch. And that shows you how America is really falling, okay? Because they lack equal treatment. And America or Africa, African Americans are being advised to move out of America because of the issues I've just mentioned. And another issue is because of the historical context of going back to the motherland. It's not just about the issues of America, but going back to the motherland. In the late 19th and 20th century, the Back to Africa movement, spearheaded by figures like Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement, was founded on the idea that African Americans should leave US due to the systematic racism they faced. Garvey, for example, believed that Africa could offer a place of self-determination, free from the oppressive structures in the US. And with African Americans returning to their ancestral homeland to build stronger ties and institutions. Now, Garvey was a charismatic leader who urged that African Americans who were seen as second-class citizens in the US should reconnect with their African roots. His vision was one of empowerment, self-governance, and economic independence. And these movements is what us as Africans we are supporting here. And all the question you are asking, why many of African content creators are doing Black American videos, is because we are just continuing the movement or the rhetoric of Marcus Garvey. It is real that we want you to come back to the motherland, because while coming back to the motherland, it will not help you alone, but us as Africans will benefit from it too. Because the idea of African Americans going back to the roots, tracing back the motherland, is because the benefit to Africans, it's we were denied or we were robbed the best of the best we have, the strongest we have in Africa. We were robbed the talents we have. See what's happening. Talents of basketball, talents in rugby, black people, the talents of 100 meters, all of them, the musicians, they were robbed from Africa. So when these talents are back to the motherland, that means that Africa will retain its greatness because we were robbed. And the benefit to Black Americans is for you to trace your ancestral, to get back your identity, to get back what belongs to you. Because we understand that Black Americans build America, but that is not your country. They will just wake up one day and say, you all blacks should go back where you came from. So it is a win-win for all of us, Black people or Black Americans and Africans indigenous. It's a win-win for us. And I pray that one day, you as an African Americans who you are watching this video, you will make a decision to come back to Africa, even if it's not just living, but come back and learn about one or two things about Africa. Feel the soil of the motherland, feel the ground, Come, when you are there in the airport, remove your shoes and step on the soil of the motherland. And that is the best thing to do. I believe that things like that will happen. Many African Americans who have voiced frustration with the country's racial inequalities have been vocal about the lack of progress in addressing systematic racism. This frustration is not necessarily a call to leave, but it can sometimes give rise to the idea of leaving, and that might be a solution, leaving the America, especially when the systems continues to fail to deliver. Systems like police brutality and systematic racism. These killings of Black Americans by police are seen as high-profile cases. It will only be solved sometimes by just going back to the motherland, going back to Caribbean, going back to your own, tracing your identities. You know, in Africa, you will not face that oppression. You won't face police brutality. You won't face that racial aggregation. When you are here, it's like you are just home. You are feeling safe, walking freely without your shirt. And one day I was in town, in my town here in Nairobi. I was walking and I saw a Jamaican man walking the street with a short and shirtless, with a t-shirt holding like this. And he was happy. Hello, Wagwan, you know, just talking happily. And everyone was like, oh, how are you? Oh, you from Jamaica? Welcome home. I felt so good to see how this Jamaican was so happy being around his brothers and sisters or cousins. I felt so good that he felt freely walking in the streets of Canairo, you know? And that's what I want you to experience. The freedom of walking in streets in Africa, it's real. It is real. If alone all this, you are saying that when you come to Africa, your phone will be snatched, some thieves, it is everywhere. How can you compare your phone being snatched in the street and compare being robbed your identity, compared it with not accessing quality health, quality education, being racial profiled? You can't compare that, okay? So I think leaving America is one of the best decisions that a lot of Black Americans have done. And in modern days, we call for that. That's why I'm here behind this mic or behind this camera talking to you. It's because I believe that one day you will reason with us. You will reason with me and come back to the motherland. Because while the majority African Americans do not call for immigration, some have expressed interest in moving to places that perceives to be more welcoming and progressive. This could include African nations with growing economies like Ghana, or countries like Canada having more liberal immigration policies. And that's why you see a lot of African Americans going back to Ghana, Kenya, you know, those Western countries, is because the economy is growing and you have more opportunities, no restrictions, you know. And there's been a recent push to reconnect African Americans with their African heritage, and that's what we are doing. So each person who is asking questions why we are doing these videos as African, you have the answer. We just want to reconnect you to the motherland. Now, the idea of America is falling is this, the suggestion that African Americans should come back to the motherland is rooted to the complex of history and race relations, political discontent, and economic inequalities in United States. It reflects the frustration that many feel when they believe that the country has failed to live up to its idea of freedom, justice, and equality. Because the idea of America was a country that has freedom, a country that you get rich, all of you, the country of equality. But right now, it has failed to deliver. And that's why we are saying America is falling. And I may say it has already fallen. It just remain a little bit thing, but it has already fallen. Because it's not easy to get reforms. Instead of getting reforms, now Donald Trump has revoked DEI. A lot of people have been laid off. He's sending back immigrants. He's calling Mexican smugglers. So it won't change. It won't change. And I think MAGA is a way of accelerating how America is falling. So think about that as a Black American. I think I've made some good discussion here. Tell me what you think on the comment section about my discussion. Until next episode, peace out.